in our next talk, which is called Unleash the Potential of Personalization in Gaming, we will welcome Noa Avishur, AI Product Lead, and Gadi Ganon, VP Product of Tech and AI from Playtika, and they will tell you how their mobile game studio uses artificial intelligence to deliver personalized experiences. If you're curious now, then listen carefully. Here they are. Hi, Noa and Gadi, come to me. Thank you. Oh, and by the way, if any questions come up after the talk, we will have a time for the Q&A, and you can ask your questions, so write them down, and I see you later. Have fun. Thank you.
Thank you. So, good afternoon, everybody. We are very excited to be on this stage. I'm Gadi, and let's talk about two interesting domains, gaming and personalization. Our belief in Playtika is that's all about the best game experience. This is our secret sauce since we launched the first game, and until now, as a leader in this industry.
Life needs play. Since the day we are born, we all need play. Through play, we learn. We explore. We stimulate our senses, or we let go. We connect with others, or connect with ourselves. While the need for play is universal, what people play and how people play is an individual choice. And at Playtika, our mission is to entertain the world through infinite ways to play. By smashing art with science, we create the most vibrant and eclectic mix of games, and we do it all with an endless passion. We dare to challenge, and we play to change the game. We are coders and marketers that run with the pack, artists and data scientists that make it count, storytellers and strategists that cut to the chase. We are Playtika. Bringing you infinite ways to play. Playtika.
So, because life needs play, our vision is to excite each and every one of our players like the game was made only for them. Therefore, we need to understand if you love to explore, if you love to achieve, if you love to play with others, and maybe your motivation is actually to break your own records. For example, for explorers, we will suggest features they haven't reached yet. For socializer, we will add more and more social capabilities to enable engagement and to suggest mutual challenges. It's good, but it's not enough, because as a socializer, you might love to play with others, but also to compete against others, because you are also an achiever who wants to break his records. So, in other words, we aim to give the dynamic experience to the right player, but also in the right context in the game. So as you can understand, personalization is complex. Behind the scenes, we need many professionals to analyze, to execute, to be creative, to enable custom-made experiences, and only in one game. Now, let's take this complexity to millions of players, 14 games, 9 of them in the top 100 in United States. Each game has different game experience and different genres, from exploring islands in our Bingo Blitz game to designers looking for innovative ideas in our Redecor application, and all of that with high quality of content and 24/7 operations. So how can we achieve this goal? Our approach is to keep all the drama and all the complexity of many AI algorithms, as my colleagues will right away will show you, under the hood. This by tackling business processes end-to-end without professional streams. In other words, one, AI-driven digital products to empower our game teams and constantly learning from their feedbacks and their business expertise. So how are we doing it? Noa, please.
Thank you, Gadi. So now that we understand what Playtika is all about, what is the ecosystem, and what exactly we're trying to do by overcoming the challenges in the fields of personalizing games experience, let's now deep dive into the different products and AI engines behind the products that are helping us overcome these challenges. In practice, we divide personalization process into two main steps. The first one is identify the personas in the game. Identify the group of players that for some reason I want to focus on treating them together as a whole. And then the second step that we're seeing as part of the personalization is choosing the ideal experience for the players in the game. Behind each and every one of them, we have a few AI products that we're now going to deep dive and understand them. So let's start with the left part, identify the personas. We chose to focus here on two products that we have developed in order to explain what we're doing with this process. So the first one is the multidimensional division-based product. We've created an AI engine that knows how to take the multidimensional preferences of the players today and to divide them today in the best way possible in the game. We're taking not only one or two preferences or characteristics that they have in the game, but a lot of them, hundreds of them. Another product that is helping us achieving this goal is the prediction engine that we've built. We know how to take these multidimensional preferences of the players and divide them not only today in the game, but also tomorrow, 1 week from now. So for example, if we want to know who out of my players is going to like a feature that I'm about to release, so I can try to predict how he will react to this feature. Or for example, if I want to know who out of my players is going to turn the game in 7 days from now, I can try to predict it. And if on the left side we're talking about algorithms like k-means, if you're familiar with, on the right side we're talking about more advanced algorithms like XGBoost, LSTM, but also survival model, if you know what it is. Because we're not only interested in whether a player is going to turn the game yes or no, but also when in time exactly is it going to happen. So now that we understand what we're trying to achieve by identifying the personas, let's understand what it means to custom the ideal game experience for them. With AI, we have developed an engine, a real-time engine, that knows how to propose the best experience for a player in real time. This product is based on a few algorithms from the family of the multi-arm bandit, if you're familiar with, and we're using different algorithms for different purposes. But anyway, we're giving to a player at any time an experience in the game, and immediately after, we're collecting the way they responded to this experience, and then keep on tuning and keep on adjusting the algorithm to know better tomorrow. We're using different algorithms here for different purposes. So for example, we will use a stochastic multi-arm bandit, stochastic algorithm, for cases where we don't have any historical data about the preferences of our players, and we're using like a cold start, a reinforcement learning, to propose a few experiences to these players, and then to learn on the fly. What did they like the most? We will use a contextual multi-arm bandit for cases where we do have the context. We do understand what the players like in the game, what they liked a month ago, 2 months ago, and 3 months ago. And for that, we need an algorithm to help us understand what is the best way to segment the player in real time in order to give them the best experience possible. Now, to summarize the 2 steps of personalization, we're saying that with one AI engine, we are identifying the personas, understanding what are the group of players that we want to treat, and then with the second one, we're customizing the ideal game experience. But it is also very important for us to explain that we're always performing A/B tests also with another product that's based on another advanced algorithms. Because it's very important for us to understand that the model, the algorithm, is not optimizing on data science metrics, on data science KPIs, but actually on the most important part, on the business KPIs. So we're always on top of that. We're always performing the test to understand that this is the case. But also, it's very important for us not to give our game user, the operators and the monetization managers, the feeling that the algorithm is a black box for them. They do not understand it. We don't want that. We want them to interact with the algorithm and to understand exactly what they're doing in the game for them to trust it, to gain their trust and comfortable to use it. Cool. So now that we understood the products, let's try to see it from the AI perspective, from the engine side, and understand what is the challenge from this side. For that, I chose to focus on our prediction model and show you how this process and this product was done. So just before that, I'm going to do a short recap on what is a prediction model, what's the process of creating a prediction model for those of you who are less familiar with. So the first thing that I'm going to do when defining a new prediction model is to define exactly what is the label. What is this event in the data that I want to predict? So let's take an example here. I want to predict who out of my players is about to become a churner, is going to churn the game. What is a churner? Churner is someone that didn't log into the game for 14 days and above. And when do I want to know about that? At least 7 days before. Because if he's not going to be happy in 7 days from now, I want to know about it today so I can change his experience and make sure that he's getting the best one exactly for him. So after defining the label, I'm going to understand the data. I'm going to clean the data, to understand all the different features, to model it, to clean it, and also to understand what is the interaction, what is the correlation between the different features of these players to the label at this moment. It will help me build the decision tree for the engine that from now on, each and every one of the players in my game will get into this engine and will get a score between 0 to 1 that help us understand what is the probability of this player to churn the game in 7 days from now. Is it 0.8 or is it 0.9? We're also wrapping this product with AI monitoring tools because a model that I created today that is relevant for today's data is not necessarily going to be relevant for 6 months from now. So we want to make sure that we are on top of understanding if there are any data drifts or concept drift of the model in real time. And basically, I described here in a few sentences work of a few months of data science, data engineers, and a lot of other data roles that are part of this big process. So it's difficult. Now, it brings me to the dilemma that we had when developing this product of where exactly do we want to be when we're creating this product. Where we want to be on the scale that runs from professional service to AI end-to-end self-service solution. Because if we ask our data science, please create a churn model for one of my games now, it would be a relatively easy task. They would gather the data, create the features, create a model, run it, and then even monitor it by themselves in a manual way. The performance would be amazing, and the time to market would be also pretty fast because they only created this first model and they put all the efforts on it. But the thing is that immediately when I want to scale it up for the second use case, the third use case, the fourth use case, we would need to put the same amount of effort that we put on the first time also on the second and the third. And also, it's not stabilized at all because it can fall at any time. So it's definitely not a place where we want to be when creating a product around the predictions. Now, the other part of the scale, the fully automated end-to-end solution, describes an engine, describes a product that has a lot of flexibility for the user to use. We're talking here about a product that you, as a non-AI user, non-data science user, can create your own label. You can say, I want to predict this. This is something new. We never defined it before. And you can define it. And then, based on the data that we already created, you can even train the model and then use it in production. In order to be in this place, it requires a very, a heavy algorithm, a great deal of self-educating UI, and also a lot of AI monitoring tools, because once you give this power to people that are not familiar with AI, you need to make sure that it's all wrapped with the proper process, the proper monitoring. It can take years to get to this point, and we in Playtika, we like to run fast. We cannot wait here to get churn models. So this is why we chose a different approach. But before that, I just want to explain by one of the projects that are part of this big product of end-to-end automated solution to explain how big it is and how massive it is to use. So let's take weekly data as example. So in Playtika, like we said, we have a lot of games, and the games are very different from one another. And processing the data, modeling the data, creating the features can be a very complex thing to achieve. But if we're able to establish a player's taxonomy and to create games abstraction, we would be able to put the foundation on which we can build all of the data and all of the features, the automatic features, build upon it later on. So for this reason, let's take two examples. So for example, we have two games. One of them is a match game of tiles, and the second one is ping pong game. And the two of them have a very different core loop. So one game is actually you are getting up in levels, and the second one you're winning matches between other players. And they have different daily activities, monthly activities, meta features, and so on. But basically, if we're able to give it the right language, to have the right taxonomy between the different games, we would be able to make one schema on which we're expecting to get all of the data of the new games also into it, and then automatically build upon it all the different AI products that we are trying to achieve with what we're trying to do in personalization. Without getting into details, this is a very, very complex thing to do. It requires a lot of effort, a lot of infrastructure, and it's only one out of the project that we need to have in order to have the end-to-end fully solution. Now, for these many reasons, we have created a product that on this scale, more leaning towards the right side of the scale, which is the end-to-end solution. So instead of creating by yourself the labels and training by yourself the models, the user, the game user, will get into a pretty simple UI, and then will choose out of a catalog list the right model that they want to use. But it's not just it. They will also be presented the question of threshold optimization. Do you want to optimize on precision, or do you want to optimize on recall? How precise do you want to be in the model, and how much you are willing to get even players that are not exactly the true positive that you are trying to predict into the player that we are going to treat. Because basically, this is a business question. It's not an AI question. And it's very important for us to give the user the ability to choose it by himself. It will gain their trust in the product, and it will also make them not see it as a black box. And this is how we are trying to hide and to hide a lot of drama under the hood with a nice UI that is actually business explanatory and not AI explanatory for a non-data science audience.
Thank you, Noah. So, guys, we can talk about personalization for hours. And we didn't even touch all the generative AI revolution that we have already started to work in the last year, and we see fruits. But let's try to summarize 3 takeaways from many years of experience, a lot of data, and many, many use cases. First of all, the why. And the why is, the answer is because optimal game experience requires personalization. As a player, I don't care about all the other millions that are playing. I care about my own journey, and I want to be treated like the game was made only for me. And this is a huge relative advantage once you understand it. And now we have endless possibilities. Imagine it with generative AI to generate art, to generate more experiences, and so on. from the game team, always think about your end users that interact with AI and with complicated products. And here, also, very simple answer. Keep all the drama under the hood and enable them to operate easy-to-use product like there's no AI inside it. It's called human in the loop, and a lot of material was written about this thing. And from the AI point of view, as better as you develop your foundation, in this case, game of abstraction, the easier it will be to you to scale. And AI is very sensitive for use cases, and once you can scale it, you win it. And we want to win the game. So thank you very much. It was a great pleasure.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Noah and Gadi, and please stay with us because as we always have our Q&A session after, please come with me to the front.
Sure.
So here's the microphone. Are there any questions? There. I come to you. It's a long way, but I come to you. Almost there, almost there. Here we are.
Hello, hi. Thank you very much for the wonderful presentations. It's a very interesting kind of stuff. And I have some questions about your work. The first one is about reward shaping, because you talk about multi-arm bandits algorithms. And I wanted to know, how do you choose the reward? How do you design what is good for a player?
Are you talking about the rewards from the side of the model, KPI reward formula that we're using, or reward you mean the experience for the player?
It's more related to the multi-arm bandit. You know, these kinds of algorithms needs that you define a reward for them, a signal that the algorithm has to maximize. And it's very important because it's defined what is good for the player and what is bad. And what do you choose for the player?
Yeah, definitely. So we have a very amazing lab of data science, data engineers that we're working with. And whenever we have a new use case that we want to use the multi-arm bandit for, the first thing that we're going to do is to go to the business user, to the one in the game, and ask them, what is it that we're trying to optimize on? After understanding what exactly it is that they're trying to optimize on and understand in the data how it looks like, what these fields look like, and what is the value that we're trying to optimize on, only then data science will start a project to analyze the data and to find correlation into something that is, let's say, trueable for the model. Because if, for example, the game user will tell me that they want to optimize on something that is going to happen 14 days from now, and letting the model learn once every 14 days is just too much. So we're trying to find what do we have in correlation to it in a short amount of time. Let's say, what do we have in correlation to churn 14 games in churn like 3 days or something like that. So this is a lot of work that is being done from the data science side, but it always starts with what exactly the business is trying to optimize on, and then we start the research.
So actually, it's not about the rewards, it's about the KPI that you want to reach. And it's actually about variety of rewards and experiences. Because actually, sometimes you don't know what will work best. And for these reasons, once you have this algorithm, it enables you to learn better what your audience likes more, in the right context of the game, and to personalize it. And it's very dynamic. And that's the beauty about reinforcement learning. Because you know the first step, you don't know how it looks like 2, 3, 1 month from now.
Yes. Hi.
Fascinating stuff, Gadi and Noa. Where do you draw the line between personalization and your unique branded experience? We'll try to... Is it more business-oriented adaptation, artistic adaptation, sonically, visually, the narrative?
So you mean what exactly we're trying to personalize? That's the question?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So actually, the most important thing to personalize is the core game, is what exactly the user is experiencing, the player, the end user. You know, we were talking a lot about B2B and B2C, but we're not talking about here the user that is using the product of the personalization optimization, but let's talk about the player. So the first thing that is very important to optimize on is the core game, what exactly he's experienced now inside a mini feature inside of the game. But we're also trying to optimize in some points on a certain art or mainly arts, but again, that's like a peripheralic to what we're trying to achieve. The most important thing that we're trying to personalize is the core game experience for each and every one of the players. It can be adjusting the level of sophistication, it can be opening different features for this player, and it can be something like from this area.
Yeah. Difficulty, everything.
Thank you.
And while I'm standing here in the middle of the audience, they're over there, in the back, running.
No, thank you for the amazing keynote. My question is on how this personalization in games could also be applied to education, because in education I feel like especially the difficulty could be personalized, and I feel like that's what games already do. You can choose a difficulty, so maybe you can go a little bit into that.
So a lot of things can attract player to play or not to play in your game. And in this case, you have a wide perspective to many aspects that you cannot think when you are doing it in 2 dimensions. But as Noah showed, you can take, for example, to analyze your player with a multi-dimensional aspects. And here you can find some nuance that will enable you to attract more players to your game, in this case for education manners.
I believe that any industry requires personalization of their core application, their core game, their core whatever they're trying to do, because this is the secret sauce. If it's relevant to any industry in any case, because if you're using something that is not personalized to what you prefer to watch or to operate or whatever, it would be very difficult to keep you entertained within the app.
Okay, thank you. I'm on my way back to the stage. So, unfortunately, our time is already up. Time is running today, isn't it, right? Thank you, Noah and Gadi, for this talk. Thank you. And thank you for your questions, by the way. I always love when the audience is like...
Great ones.
Part of us, part of the Gamescom Congress. Thank you both. And we move on with the next talk, or panel it is.